How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store continues to run its huge August savings sales. We already did a video under games under $10. Now it's time to do one under $5. Tons of great deals. A lot of titles that some of you guys maybe own. Some titles are on Plus Extra. I will save those until the end. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Starting things off with Mad Max, 75% off for $4.99. I thought Mad Max was a pretty solid open world game. Not amazing, not like fantastic or anything like that. I would give it like a solid 7.5 out of 10. The game, unfortunately, decided to be released on the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5, and yeah, that didn't turn out all too well for Mad Max, but I think everybody that played Mad Max, like, ended up enjoying the game and was relatively surprised by how good it was. You know, the open world, I think, was pretty well designed. It performed really well on PlayStation 4, and I just thought in general it was a fairly solid and well-made game. Unfortunate we're never gonna get a follow-up to it, but you know, $4.99 for Mad Max, I think, is a great price, and I would give it a recommendation. If you're into, you know, action open world games, it's going to be one that you enjoy. Next up, we have Dishonored Definitive Edition, 75% off for $4.99. Now, this is available on PlayStation Plus Premium. That is top tier, but, you know, if you don't have that, the base game, or excuse me, the Definitive Edition for $4.99, I think is a great deal. Dishonored 1 is a fantastic game, and I bought this game right when it came out. I remember I got a PC copy of this game at Target, and it was a physical PC copy. So just think about how old or how much I'm dating myself right there, but Dishonored 1 was a fantastic game, and I wish Arcane would do more titles like this and less of, you know, Red Loop I know was done by the Prey team, and Deathloop people did like. Redfall, I should say. Did I say Red Loop? My goodness. But you get the idea. I wanted Dishonored 3 even if it's not going to be on PlayStation, because that's the reality we live in, but Dishonored 1 I thought was a great game. Art style has aged relatively gracefully, and I just really enjoyed the game. You can go more guns blazing, you can go that silent approach, and I think the silent approach is what most people enjoyed, much more rewarding that way. But $4.99 for Dishonored, great deal there. Next up, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, 75% off for $4.99. When they announced another Mirror's Edge title, I would say follow-up, but, you know, it's a follow-up to the 2008 game in the sense that it released after, but another Mirror's Edge game. I was very excited. I know a lot of other people were very excited if you played the 08 game. Now, this game, I think, has some issues on the fact that the open aspect to it actually detracted from the game. I still think it's rather good. The visuals in this game, I think, hold up really well. I still enjoyed a lot of the gameplay aspects. Narratively, it was what it was. For $60, it was way too much. For $4.99, I actually think it's a pretty good deal, and I would recommend it. And at this price point, again, I think it's a solid pickup. Next up, we have Outlast 2, $2.99. I mean, if you're into horror games, Outlast is a must-play, and I think most of you guys that are into horror games have played it. Incredibly atmospheric, incredibly gruesome as well, so, like, you know, not for the faint of heart, but $2.99 for Outlast is a no-brainer. I know, like, the season doesn't really call for it. It's not really Halloween time, but you know, why not just play it anyway? If you want a horror game, this is a good one, and Outlast Trinity is on sale as well, 90% off for $5.89. That is another option if you want to pick that up. Next up, we have Devolver Digital's GRIS. This is a game that is incredibly artistic. The visual style is absolutely fantastic, and I think it's one that a lot of you guys will enjoy. Thematically, it's just an incredibly captivating game, that it doesn't slap you in the face with the thematics, but it's kind of a game much like Journey, where there's a lot of interpretation and things of that nature. I think the game is great. Obviously, it's very much on the shorter side, and I think people would, you know, kind of compare GRIS to one of those games that's more of an experience. I know that's kind of corny to say, but I think GRIS really does fall into that category. And at this price point, sub $5, like $4.24, I think it's a great price. Would definitely give that a shout. Next up, a game that I constantly go to bat for, SOMA is 90% off for $2.99. Look, I think SOMA is a tremendous game, and in my opinion, it's the best game that Frictional has put out. I know Amnesia the Bunker was received really well, but I thought SOMA was just fantastic. It's on this underwater remote facility, and what SOMA does really well is it embodies that element of horror. I think a lot of games, as far as horror games are concerned, sometimes go a little bit too actiony. SOMA really sticks to the horror roots, and again, I think atmosphere and engrossing you into the game is the most important part of a horror game, and SOMA does that so incredibly well. For $2.99, it is such a great deal that I would just say go ahead and pick it up. You know, even if you're not into horror games that much, I still think it's a rather compelling game that everybody should play. $2.99 again, great price there. Speaking of Frictional, I'll give a shout to Amnesia Collection, $2.99. Amnesia Dark Descent is the one that is really well received. Machine for Pigs is fine, it is what it is, but Dark Descent is the game that really put Frictional on the map, and you just remember the early days of YouTube people uploading Amnesia content and whatnot. It's a very iconic game that at this point, it does show its age, given the fact that, I want to say it came out back in 2010 or something like that. Yeah, 2010, September of 2010, so, we're almost 15 years removed from the initial release, so keep your expectations in line, but you're getting 2 games for $3. Seems like a good deal to me. Next up, Hotline Miami 2, wrong number is $3.74. Hotline Miami is just a good time, man. I mean, it's absolutely gruesome, so, obviously I wouldn't, recommend you to get your kid into this, but, it's a bloody game, but it's got that throwback retro visual style, and its soundtrack is great. It's just got a lot of pop to it, and I think Hotline Miami is always a game you can go in, have some fun with. Even if it is a little bit on the challenging side, you don't have to take it too seriously, and the visuals are quite pleasing, and for this price point, I think it's a pretty good buy, so check that out. Next up, want to give a shout to Shadow Warrior and Shadow Warrior 2. Now, Shadow Warrior 2 is available on Plus Extra. Shadow Warrior 1 is not. I would say get both games. They're both really good. Shadow Warrior 1 is $2.99. Shadow Warrior 2 is $4.49. Shadow Warrior 2 is definitely the stronger game. Has online co-op play. Fast-paced first-person action games, very bloody. These games are as well. Over-the-top action, and, narratively nothing to really write home about, but for this price point, if you want fast-paced action gameplay, Shadow Warrior and Shadow Warrior 2 will definitely fit the bill. Lastly, I do want to go over some PlayStation Plus titles. Shadow Warrior 2 on Plus, like I said. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, a 75% off for $4.99. You guys know me, I'm a sucker for Tomb Raider, going back to Tomb Raider 2013, this title. Go play this, go play Rise of the Tomb Raider, go play Shadow of the Tomb Raider. All 3 games are really good. Tomb Raider 2013 is a relatively short game. This is a game you can complete in 7 to 8 hours. It's not lengthy whatsoever. But, there are some optional tombs and things like that that'll extend the game a little bit, but for $4.99, I just think, fantastic price. Child of Light, $4.49. Whenever you talk about Ubisoft being a publisher that not everybody's gravitating towards, I look at games like Child of Light, I look at games like Valiant Arts: The Great War, both came out in 2014, and it's like, man, Ubisoft can publish some great games, and, people will look to an Immortals Phoenix Rising as another example of that. I wasn't crazy about that game, but Child of Light is an incredibly artistic, visually pleasing RPG. It's not super lengthy, but it gets to the point, and it's got a pretty good story. $4.49, I think, for a game like this is completely worth it. Again, available on Plus Extra. Next up, we have Alienation, $4.99 on this on Plus Extra. Over-the-top action gameplay. It is Housemarque true and true. Housemarque, obviously, the guys that brought you Returnal. Alienation is tried and true of what Housemarque always delivers. Over-the-top action gameplay, great particle effects. Just absolute mayhem is what you can expect out of Alienation, and $4.99 is great for it. Limbo, 75% off for $2.49. Limbo's great. It's a game that I feel like everybody's played at this point, but if you haven't, $2.49 is a great price on it. If you haven't played Inside, Playdead's other title, that is on sale for $6.74. I would recommend that as well. That bundle is great. Inside doesn't get as much as love as Limbo. I feel like critically it did, but commercially speaking, you generally hear more people talk about Limbo. It was one of those early Xbox 360 arcade games that I think showcased how compelling arcade games could be, but I digress. $2.49 or $6.74 for the bundle. Both great pickups. And then Rayman Legends, 80% off for $3.99. A tremendous platformer. Again, Ubisoft at their absolute pinnacle when I look at games like Rayman Legends. Just a really, really well-designed platformer. A lot of levels. Incredibly charming, incredibly accessible as well, but not super accessible where you're just going to blitz right through it. $3.99 again, a great price on this. But that is going to do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals under the price of $5. Links to all of these in the description box below. That is going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.